Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to whoever is watching this and wherever you are in the world right now. This is Warrior TV, the voice of the mental health warriors. And this morning I am joined with the Warrior Queen herself, Kerry Duval. We'll be right back after this. Okay, I'm bored with that now. I really am. I know it's only 30 seconds, but it's just not 30 seconds.
I was getting a little groove going.
Morning, Kerry.
Morning. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm all right. Have you had a good weekend?
I have, actually. I've had a really, really good weekend. I had a fabulous day yesterday with some friends having lunch and a haircut.
Brilliant. Looking good.
Thank you. It feels a lot better. Let's put it that way. It's not sort of dangling down into my eyes and stopping me from seeing what I'm doing, which is quite useful, really. But, I'm loving your background, by the way. I do like those fireworks.
Yeah. No, they look pretty, and it's bonfire night week, so there's going to be fireworks going off every week. Do you think the viewers have figured out what we're going to be talking about?
Quite possibly. I mean, I do love fireworks. I've always loved them, even as a kid, and I can remember my parents would take us to organise displays each year. We'd normally go with some cousins, and we'd always have the sparklers as well. They were really, really fun, and there was always like hot soup and a hot dog, perhaps, a hot chocolate, something like that. And we'd absolutely wrap up warm, even if it wasn't cold. Stand as close as we could to the bonfire, and I loved watching the fireworks. But I mean, as time's gone on, as I've grown older, I still love the fireworks. But first of all, I have dogs, and neither of them like fireworks. So it is a little bit of a problem in that respect. But like when we were, I mean, I've known for a long time anyway, but when we were chatting the other day, this time of the year can be quite traumatic for people as well, can't it?
Yeah, it can do. I'm like you. Obviously, I haven't got dogs, but I've got cats. And as soon as the fireworks start going off around about tea time, and they have been doing this week, it's got to about 3:30, 4 o'clock. And even though it's not even dark, fireworks have started to go off, and my cat's scarping behind the settee. And obviously, they hate them. Lucas, my son, he has autism. He absolutely hates loud noises. So he'll scarper up to his bedroom, close his curtains, and turn his television up so he can't hear them. He'd rather listen to the sound on his television because he knows where that sound's coming from at least. And that's a soothing one. And because he's got a sensory light, he puts it on a disco light thing, and that seems to calm him down and keep him nice and calm.
Oh, that's good.
And obviously we're not the only ones that have this problem. It's, thousands of people across the country are having the similar problems with cats or dogs or even kids with special needs. But we can't forget about those with PTSD, who have problems hearing the bangs or all the bad memories that's going to bring back. I mean, I'm one of these that I loved fireworks like yourself. I loved fireworks as a kid. But now, because I'm aware of all these mental health problems and kids with special needs and pets, I'm like, I think they should be banned on sale to general public, and it should be organised displays only, because then the idiots that are setting them off all nights of the year can't do it anymore.
No, I have to agree with you there. It's I mean, I have no problem with people being able to buy the sparklers.
Yeah, they're all right.
We all love a sparkler, don't we? Whether it's one we can play with on bonfire night or whether it's one that's in our cocktail. Early for that, isn't it? But anyway, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially sparklers are fireworks, and they are still dangerous, but they don't make the loud bangs and whizzes that a
Yeah,
lot
they
of.
just fizz a little bit. You can also get them for birthday cakes as well, can't you?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they look nice, but they're nice and safe, and they
Mm,
only fizz a little bit, so they're nice and quiet, and they're perfect.
yeah,
They're all right for kids, supervised, obviously.
yeah. Oh yes, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, no, I am with you about the general sale of fireworks. Though I mean, don't get me wrong, I have bought them myself in the past. Only once, I think.
yeah,
But I do much prefer an organised display. I know it can be quite costly, particularly if you've got a family of 4 and you've got to pay to go in. But then when you think about the cost of actually buying fireworks and setting them off in your own garden, the cost is probably not greatly different. But it's the one time of the year, and New Year's Eve as well. Let's not forget that. It's the
yeah,
one time of the year when we can legally go out and play with lethal weapons.
yeah. Yeah, and obviously we've got to understand that they are just that, lethal weapons. I mean, you've
Mm,
got to handle them properly. Me and Adam have bought little garden fireworks, so they're nice and quiet. And Lucas and Tegan he'll sit inside at the window and watch them safely from indoors behind glass.
yes.
And then because they're not loud, they're absolutely fine. But it's
Mm,
the big ones and the loud ones that they don't like. Them ones that squeak all the way up, or
yeah,
whistle all the way up and then just go bang. And
yeah.
it's like they don't need to be that loud.
No, I mean, they really don't. But as I say, kind of, going back to my opening statement of loving fireworks, and I do love the loud bangs, but then I'm not triggered by those loud noises.
Yeah,
I don't have any horrible flashbacks with regards to anything. They don't
yeah,
trigger anything like that for me. But I know that there are a lot of people out there that are triggered. And of course, a lot of these, even the organised displays, they're not necessarily well away from residential areas, for example. I know where I live here in this village, they have a firework display every year after the summer village fete.
yeah,
So right bang in the middle of the year,
yeah,
and you kind of think, well, okay, but why then?
yeah,
And I
yeah.
have
But
to
at
say
least,
that the law surrounding fireworks is, in my view, a little bit loose.
yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, with organised displays, people who are triggered by fireworks at least have that warning because they're going to see the posters and notifications maybe on Facebook or in the local newspaper to say that these organised displays are happening, so they can sort of prepare themselves, say, right, okay, tonight there's going to be fireworks close by, I know it's going to happen. It might just help them because then they can put some extra self-care in place or whatever technique they can, maybe go to a friend's house for a couple of hours while it's happening so that they're further away from the fireworks.
so for a lot of people, doing things like that is not possible.
Yeah,
So, what do they do? How do they get around not being bothered by
yeah,
these loud fireworks? I mean, most of us, I think it's safe to say that we've got TVs or radios. We can turn the volume up on the television and hope that drowns out the sound of the fireworks going on outside. We've got radios or some form of being able to play music, so we can always turn that up.
yeah,
Then perhaps you're looking at people who don't like to have the TV on loud and don't like to have the music up loud,
yeah,
that they like the peace and quiet. but perhaps a couple of nights a year, they're not going to get that peace and quiet. And equally, those noises can be triggers for them. It's interesting. Adam's asked, when you hear the word trigger, what comes to you both, and why is it so easy to turn a trigger into something negative instead of something positive? And my response to that is that we all have triggers, for different things, for lots of different things. We all, first of all, I just want to say that we're running strategies all the time, okay? And each strategy that we run for doing anything, that's, blinking, picking up a mug of coffee to take a sip of it, sitting here chatting with you, breathing, moving an arm, a finger, a leg, whatever. Those are being moved. They're all being run by strategies, okay? And there is going to be a trigger for each strategy. So the thought that I have about having a sip of coffee from my mug is simply, there's going to be loads and loads of strategies running for me to then be able to move my arm, my hand, and actually take hold of the mug, bring it up to my mouth and take a sip, and then swallow it, okay? And then put the mug down. So every strategy has a trigger. Now, there are certain memories that will respond to triggers. There are certain feelings and beliefs that will respond to triggers. And so, depending on whether that memory or thought or belief is positive or negative, okay, depends on the response to whatever those triggers are, to essentially trigger those thoughts, beliefs, feelings, memories. Okay. So if you're, in this instance, we're talking about fireworks and loud noises. So, if the loud noise is something that will trigger a negative memory or feeling or thought, or all of them, then it will do exactly that. What we can do, certainly with NLP, we sometimes we can do it ourselves without actually having to go and see an NLP practitioner. But we can change those thought processes. We can change how we feel about those situations. When you're getting into the realms of PTSD and flashbacks, that's something entirely different. Okay. They can be dealt with. There are people out there who are able to help people that experience these flashbacks. But I think essentially, for the most part, for most people, it's about taking appropriate measures, appropriate steps to dull the sound as much as possible so that they're not triggered.
For me, a trigger is something that is going to annoy you, or it's going to cause a bad memory. So similar to you. So I hear a particular song, I think of my nana. And obviously, I don't think I'm fully through the grieving process. I think I'm stuck at the sadness phase of it. So obviously, instantly when I think about it, I cry. So that's a trigger to me. So I think to turning it into something positive, I'm not so sure on that one. I know that Christmas triggers positive to me. Spending time with my kids is a positive trigger. So maybe looking for something that is going to trigger a smile or a laughter is going to help on these particular nights when there's fireworks going to be going off. I mean, round here, they've been going off every single night for the last week. It's really annoying. But that's the downside of the general public having access to fireworks.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting listening to you talk about specific triggers which induce negative thoughts and feelings. And as I was saying previously, we all experience triggers. We've all got triggers for any one of the strategies, any one of the thousands and thousands of strategies that we are running every single day.
Yeah.
And you know, there will be triggers for positive memories.
Yeah.
You know, so part of the process with dealing with those triggers that induce negative memories and feelings is to realize that we can change them around. We can get rid of the negative, and we can change how we think and how we feel about those particular occasions, those particular events.
Yeah.
So that the next time, you know, that we are triggered, if you like, there is a trigger that would ordinarily induce those negative thoughts and feelings. As long as we are aware, it's about being aware and mindful, about being in the moment. And if we can be in that moment and just remind ourselves that those particular triggers are not going to hurt us, the memories that we have are not going to hurt us.
Yeah.
As I said, you know, it is a process. Like you're going through the grieving process at the moment, you know, and there's no time limit on that. There's no there's no hard and fast rule that says, you know, you will and must experience this, and it will take you this long.
Yeah.
We're all very different, and that's why we all will respond differently to different things.
Yeah.
Because of our own experiences, of course, and our own beliefs. So it is very much anything and everything that we do, you know, whether it's responding to something that's happened to us, whether it's responding to something that we've heard, seen, thought, felt, you know, we have control. We do have control.
Yeah.
And we have that ability within us to realize that we have that control and that we can change it around into something positive, into something far more useful and helpful to us. It's not anything that is necessarily that will happen overnight, unless, of course, you pay to see a specific coach or therapist to help you through these things. But even then, there's no guarantee that it's going to happen overnight. But it will certainly happen a lot quicker for a lot of people than it would if they didn't and attempted to go through it themselves. Some people can just do it. It's not a problem for them. Others, it takes a bit more time, and some people do need that help.
Yeah.
Would you say triggers can turn into opportunities rather than mistakes?
I think you can turn a trigger into an opportunity, because you can take the negative energy that would come from getting that trigger, well, experiencing that trigger, and you can channel it into something positive. So like every year just before Christmas, this is my example, every year just before Christmas, I know that it's nearly Christmas, and obviously going back to my nana, it was her favourite time of year also. That's where my love of Christmas comes from. And I always think I'm going into the Christmas period, it's another Christmas without my nana. But then I sort of, that little bit of upset that I start to feel, I think, nope, I'm not going to get upset. I'm going to channel that upset into making it the best Christmas I can for the kids and making memories with my kids, because that's what she'd want me to do. She'd want me to make them smile and look after them. I mean, that's one of the things that she last said to me was, look after those babies, because they were my babies to her. And I always do that. Not going to get upset. Not going to get upset. You know?
Here's the wonderful thing about here's the wonderful thing about Christmas. It is a time for you know, when families come together and they enjoy each other's company. And you know, I've been where you are right now, in as much as facing a Christmas without a loved one. you know. And the first time is always the hardest. However, we will still miss those people. You know, it doesn't matter who they are, we will still miss them. And their absence will still be felt on those particular occasions.
Definitely.
But when we remember how much they loved Christmas, yeah, and when we think about the people that we still have who are still here with us right now, you know, and I think being thankful that we had the time that we did have with those people who are no longer here, it is a great way of helping us to move forward from that. But also being thankful for the people that we do have who are still here with us and who will help us celebrate, you know, a wonderful day, if you like, you know, for whatever reason you want to celebrate it.
Yeah.
You know, so I think most of us can say that we've experienced a Christmas that was less than favourable, you know, for whatever reason. But at the same time, we have that power within us to change the next Christmas and the one after that and the one after that and make it what we would like it to be. Yeah.
Adam's absolutely as well.
Our lives they're within our hands. You know, our lives are what we make them. So if we have a need or want to change a particular situation, a particular gathering, a particular memory, we can absolutely do that. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and Adam's got another question for both of us. What do you believe is the biggest trigger you've faced in your life, and what did you do to take control over your subconscious mind, and what self-care did you implement? That's a long question, Adam.
Very long question.
Yep. He's always like that, though, isn't he?
Nothing new there from Adam.
No. Biggest trigger, losing my nana. Definitely. That was the hardest time I've been through. And obviously I didn't deal with it the best way I should have done. Obviously that's when my mental health took a nosedive. I hit rock bottom and I attempted suicide. But then on the way back up, I became the Warrior Queen and got into mental health. And obviously started doing this. But one of the things that did help me through that period was I got myself a cat and I held her. She was with me all the time. She slept next to me in bed. And literally I carried this cat around everywhere, apart from school runs and shopping, of course. She didn't like the lead. I did try. But I think one of the self-care methods I used was I forced myself to listen to her favourite songs. And I let myself get angry at the fact that she was gone and sort of forced myself to deal with the emotions I was feeling. And that, for me, was self-care, forcing myself to feel those problems and let it all out. It came out as tears and I punched the pillow a few times, but at least I let it out in a safe way. Rather didn't harm anybody else. So that's my answer.
Cool. Yeah, it's as I say, you know, everybody deals with things differently, and you know, your relationship with your nana will have been completely different to anybody else's relationship that they had with her as well. Yeah. And it's the same with every single person that we encounter throughout our lives. No two relationships are going to be identical.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. The biggest trigger that I've faced in my life, you know, there's I can't say necessarily that there's a biggest trigger. You know, I've experienced all sorts of things throughout my lives, and there are little things, or have been little things in the past since those particular events that will trigger a memory, a thought, a feeling, even a response sometimes. And sometimes it's not until after I've responded, reacted, or whatever, that I've suddenly gone, oh, crikey, yeah, I know where that's come from. So I make that mental note. And if it happens again, if I get a similar trigger again that triggers those memories, I'll know straight away, and I'll know to respond differently in a more useful way. And that's, I wouldn't say it's about taking over your subconscious. It's about being consciously aware of what's happened and how you've responded, how I've responded, how I've felt, how I've thought, etc. And then being consciously aware the next time, so that I already know what's causing these memories, these thoughts, these feelings, and therefore I can deal with them instantly. And sometimes, it is a case of, the feeling's quite negative. As long as I get rid of the negative thoughts, because we can't all be positive and absolutely 100% happy all of the time.
Yeah, definitely.
We really can't. Because, and the reason I say this is that we should be able to be, but we're having a human experience, and humans are meant to have those experiences. So I know this probably comes across as being very black and white, and I can be very black and white, very matter of fact about things. And I know that there's all sorts of different shades of grey and everything else with everything. But I think the most important thing for anybody is making sure that they take time out for themselves regularly. And I'm talking about, throughout each and every single day.
Yeah, definitely.
I've been there. I've looked at my diary and gone, yeah, I can fit that in there and that in there and that in somewhere else, And before I know it, I've gone 3 or 4 days and I've not had a break. I've literally got up in the morning, gone through my morning routine, started working. I use the term loosely because I don't consider what I do is working, because I love what I do. And that's part of the reason why I forget about taking time out. So I have to plan in me time, even if it's just a 10-minute break every so often throughout each day. And then I make sure that I finish at a certain time. So I have the evening then. That's my time to do what I want to do, what I need to do, feed the dogs, feed myself, just go out and relax and wind down from the day. Yeah,
because obviously everybody has to go through those negative experiences, because the experiences make you who you are. Going through each difficult moment makes you who you are today. So going through that negative event, whatever is happening at that time, is going to shape you for the future, and it's going to shape you into a stronger person.
Well, hopefully, hopefully that's what happens. We don't become that stronger person until we acknowledge, that we have been, up until that point, affected by certain things. We've allowed ourselves to be affected by certain things. We've allowed ourselves to be triggered, negatively. And again, I must stress that, for people who do experience autism, Asperger's, anybody that does experience PTSD, for example, their responses are going to be automatic, pretty much. So it's about educating people, I think, educating people and helping them as individuals to work through each thing, so that they perhaps don't respond quite so badly, but or should I say respond in a better, more useful and helpful way to them, a bit more favourably, so that they're not so bothered by those.
Yeah, I think I do know, I'm aware of PTSD support groups that are around. Maybe they're online. I don't know. I'm not fully aware of all that, but I do know that there is a lot of good PTSD support groups out there, so that when these nights do come along, bonfire night or Christmas light switch-ons, that's going to be another one that's going to come up this at some point this month. There's going to be Christmas lights, go switches on, and there's generally fireworks around them as well. And then obviously New Year's Eve, that's another big one for not bonfires, for fireworks. And maybe these support groups are going to set something up for those nights. So maybe it's worth checking out if there is a PTSD support group, maybe in your local area or online. Maybe that's something that the Mental Health Warriors can look at setting up, a support group for around times like this. We can bring in people who fireworks are a trigger to them, and maybe we can set something up to distract them away from the negative and turn it into a positive night for them. Maybe that's something we can put in our little chat group and have a word around, see what we come up with. I mean, there's 12 of us, so yeah, we've got something.
Absolutely, you know, I mean, we're here. We're creating that safe space for people to come and chat, offload if they need to. It's you know, it's not exclusive. It's an inclusive arena. It's an inclusive platform that we have here. And just following on from that, I would say that anybody that is watching this, excuse me, at a different time later on a replay, you know, if you've got any questions at all, or if anybody who's watching this can offer some help to people who do suffer, please do either put a comment on the thread or drop one of us a message, you know.
Or email us, mentalhealthwarrior99@gmail.com.
Yeah, there we go.
We have access to that 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
So drop us an email or message the page on Facebook.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. And obviously, if you are attending any bonfire night events and firework displays this weekend, please stay safe. Watch out for people throwing fireworks. You do get the idiots are around. Keep yourselves safe. If you're out with your family, keep them safe. Enjoy the night if you can enjoy it. But then make sure to put self-care in place. And maybe we can offer a few self-care things. So things like having a bath, meditation, reading a book, things like that, for in the house, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
They're just off the top of my head.
Yeah. It's whatever works for the individual, you know. I mean, it really is. But most importantly, stay safe over this weekend. And, you know, if staying safe means staying indoors and putting earplugs in or annoying the neighbours with having the volume on the TV up loud or playing really loud music, so be it. You know, we've each got to look after ourselves. And I think it's also important to understand that, you know, if we are hearing loud music at some point, it might not be somebody having a party. It could be that they do have a problem with the loud noises from the fireworks, and it's their way of making sure that they aren't triggered, so that they are staying safe as well.
And please have some consideration for animals. That includes cats and dogs and wild animals. please do make sure the fireworks stay away from them. We are all about protecting mental health, but we're not an advocates for harming animals.
Absolutely.
Definitely not.
Absolutely.
Protect wildlife and animals.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any last messages before we disappear?
No. Other than obviously Tessa and Steve are on tomorrow morning at 8:30. Adam's put it in the comments, so honestly, otherwise we're going to get shouted at.
Fabulous. Yeah, that's another episode of Empower You. That's Steve Knapp's little show, which is really rather fantastic. So if anybody's around to watch that, or even again catch it on the replay, you know, it's definitely well worth it. So I encourage you to have a look at that tomorrow. And thanks, Kerry, for joining me on Coffee Morning this morning. I know it's a bit of a short and sweet one today.
It's all right.
But I think we've got the point across, haven't we? I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I'm back next week, I believe.
Yes. We have an interesting one for next week. More info to follow because I've got to speak to a couple of other people about joining us first. So, yeah.
I think I'm back for the next couple of weeks, actually. Back, you know what? Might as well just become a permanent fixture. Just a little bit there, Kerry.
Yeah. Right. That's it from us, I think, this morning. So we will love you and leave you all and wish you a very happy and safe week. If you're going to see some fireworks, enjoy. And again, if they're not your thing, stay safe.
Yeah.
And we will see you very, very soon.
Bye.